Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker is one of the greatest animated superhero movies ever made. If it's been a while since you've watched it, go watch it again now. It holds up really well, and is one of the darkest and most riveting sequences featuring Batman and the Joker you'll ever see, across all forms of media. There was a video game adaptation of the film released for the Sony PlayStation, Nintendo 64, and Game Boy Color in late 2000. The PS1 version is the one I will be reviewing today, and with this review, I'd have looked at all of the video games based on the DC animated universe I set out to analyze on the channel. The fact that any game based on Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker exists, let alone one on the original PlayStation, that's this bad, is an absolute disgrace to the movie, a slap in the face, and a kick right to the private parts of anyone choosing to put themselves through it and endure its awfulness. Return of the Joker is a 3D beat-em-up that has you play as Terry McGinnis, the new Batman, in his futuristic batsuit, housing various offensive and defensive capabilities. You get to utilize a variety of weapons and gadgets, such as a bladed staff, electrified nunchaku, forearm shields, and a slew of batarangs to battle the Joker and his stooges, Woof, Bonk, Ghoul, Chucko, and even the Dee twins, the granddaughters of Harley Quinn. On paper, a game like this sounds admissible, but once you play it, you realize how sloppily executed it really is. The combat is extremely sluggish, and the hit detection is horrendous. You'll find yourself mashing buttons like a jackass, with most of your attacks completely missing. The weapons I mentioned, aside from the batarangs, which are long range, and the shields that allow you to absorb more punishment before dying, everything else in your arsenal feels really weak. It's like trying to beat someone to death with a piece of tissue paper. You might as well not even use them at all. They don't add anything. And if you ask me, they just make the game a lot harder than it already is. There is this really awkward suit system the game implements as well. You have the option to cycle between 4 of them. The standard one has the most balanced combat stats. The offensive one increases your melee damage. Your defensive one increases your max health. And the nimble one allows you to double jump. I get what they were trying to do with this. It's a neat idea. The Batsuit, especially the technologically advanced futuristic one from Batman Beyond, is a gadget in and of itself, but it doesn't translate that well into the gameplay. Having to constantly switch between the suits brings my nerd blood to a boil, because the only way to use your weapons is if you have the standard suit equipped. If you need to double jump to a higher ledge or get over a large gap, you need to have your nimble suit selected, being that your eyes will most likely be fixated on the action the majority of the time, not on the HUD, and all of the Batsuits, aside from the defensive one, which has those bulky arm shields, look identical. You can lose track of which suit you have on, and end up suffering a lot of avoidable deaths as a result. Again, I get what they were going for, and I do think this kind of idea has some potential if it were implemented in a different kind of Batman game, in a completely different way. But how it's done here is just cumbersome. The suits don't feel very balanced. Not all of them are entirely useful, and switching between them could be made even easier. Opening up a selection screen is annoying, and breaks up the flow of gameplay. Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, the game, has the exact same story as the movie. In the mid-21st century, Bruce Wayne has retired as Batman, having not donned the cowl in over 20 years. Through a series of tragic events and some selfish behavior, fate brings teenager Terry McGinnis to Wayne's doorstep, and he becomes the new Batman, the Batman of the future. A street gang has appeared in Gotham City, calling themselves Jokers, and have been orchestrating a series of thefts of high-tech computer operating systems. Terry goes to the Air and Space Research and Development Lab to stop their most recent caper. After some investigating, he learns that the arch-nemesis of the original Batman, long presumed dead, the Clown Prince of Crime himself, the Joker, has somehow been revived, and has been the one pulling the strings behind the scenes. Joker's plan is to use the stolen tech components to take control of one of the US government's orbiting defense satellites and destroy Gotham City with it. It's up to Batman to prevent that from happening. The whole scheme of the Joker in the film, his motivations, how he ends up coming back to life, it's all rather preposterous and feels out of character for him. But within the confines of the movie, its narrative, its futuristic setting, I think it works really well. I'm not going to spoil what happens in the film for those of you who haven't seen it, because it's one of the best Batman movies ever made, in my opinion. But if you have seen it, then you will be incredibly disappointed with how the game chooses to present the events of the film. Despite the PlayStation being capable of full motion video, the cutscenes in this game, if you want to call them that, are just still images taken from the movie with text over top. It's very sad and very lazy on the part of the developers. I felt like I was watching a slideshow, and all it made me want to do was go watch the movie, not play this awful game. Batman Beyond Return of the Joker only has 5 stages: the Air and Space Facility, Wayne Enterprises, Arkham Asylum, Tim Drake's Laboratory, and the Jolly Jack Toy Factory. It doesn't seem like it would be that long, but playing through these levels feels like an eternity, because the combat is just so repetitive and tiresome. The Jolly Jack Toy Factory was my favorite stage in the game, just because of all the vibrant colors and those creepy mechanical faces, not to mention the sweet relief that my pain would be all over soon. The level that did not live up to its full potential was the Arkham Asylum one. Arkham is a scary place to begin with, but searching the ruins for clues regarding the Joker's reappearance was kind of unsettling. I just wish you were given the option to play as the original Batman in some sort of flashback, showing his final battle against the Joker like in the film. The gameplay would have still been shit, and I wouldn't have expected that level of storytelling from a game like this, but hey, just making some suggestions. Batman Beyond Return of the Joker is yet another one of the worst superhero games I've played and reviewed. If it wasn't for the torturing nature of the ring sections in Superman 64 and its overall lack of completeness, then I might consider Return of the Joker to be the worst of all the DC Animated Universe games too. Well, the ones that don't involve driving. It's just so lazy. The combat is monotonous. How it adapts the events of the film is downright pitiful, and with no level select or a password option of any kind, there is virtually no replayability either. Avoid this game. Go watch the far superior animated film instead. I want to thank you all for watching my review of Batman Beyond Return of the Joker for the original PlayStation. With this video in the books, that concludes my look back at all of the games based on the DC Animated Universe, the significant ones at least, the ones I wanted to talk about on the channel. There were a few handheld games released: Batman the Animated Series on Game Boy, as well as Superman Countdown to Apocalypse, and the 2 Justice League ones, Injustice for All and Chronicles for the Game Boy Advance. But I don't really like to review portable games on here. Not only are they just compromised in terms of quality compared to home console games, but the vast majority of the licensed superhero ones are mediocre at best. When it comes to the games based on the DC Animated Universe, there are some highs, some lows, and some in-betweens. But I hope you found every stop on this journey entertaining and insightful in some way. If you'd like to support the channel and ensure the creation of more content like this, hit that subscribe button, bell icon for notifications, and become a producer over on patreon.com if you can. I will see you all in the next one. Take care and stay nerdy.